What we're going to be building is a web3 idle game. This is going to be a very simple web3 browser game, and we'll walk through the game right now. So this is our login screen here. You can see web3 idle game login. We have our embedded wallets here, so you can sign in with your socials here, or you can sign in with your email address. You'll be given a one-time password where you can then verify. A wallet will be generated for you, and on top of that wallet, we'll also create you a smart wallet or an ERC-4337 wallet. We have gasless functionality turned on as well. What we've done is abstract away all of the Web3 complexities out of this application. So I'm going to sign in with my Google account here. So I selected my email here. You can see I'm signing in. It's connecting to our smart wallet. It's signing me in. This sign in here, we'll go over it in just a bit. And once we're logged in here, this is the basic dashboard of our game here. We have our worker NFT, and our worker NFT is just going to be an ERC-721 NFT. You can see we have our worker ID number here. We have our balance showing. So this is our in-game currency here called the BitGold. I currently have 106 here. We're also displaying it up here at the top along with our connected wallet. You can see here that we have a smart wallet connected, and this is our businesses here. Now on the right hand side here is our businesses. Now this is a simple idle game, and what this is doing is it's utilizing an ERC-1155 staking contract, and what we'll do is we can buy these businesses, which are ERC-1155 tokens, and we can then stake those tokens, and you can see here those tokens are receiving and earning a revenue here. And this revenue here is what we can claim from our businesses, and essentially this is what they're earning. We can take those earnings, buy more businesses, so forth and so forth. So let's just go through an example of what the game looks like here. Let's just go through an example of what claiming and purchasing a new business looks like. So you can see here I have a lemonade stand. I actually have 3 of them. This is the revenue that they're earning. I have 1 ramen shop. You can see I have 1 of them. This is the revenue here that it's earning. So I can claim my revenue from my lemonade stand. So I can hit claim here. Now what this is doing is the smart wallet is going through this transaction here, but because we have gasless functionality turned on and we're using embedded wallet, I don't need to sign any transactions or anything. It's doing all of the on-chain actions here behind the scene. You can see here revenue has been claimed. So I claimed my revenue. Now my total BitGold in my account here is 3,700. I can do the same thing with the ramen shop, but we're not going to do that here. Now that I have some BitGold, let's go to the shop here. And here in our shop, we can buy these different businesses. So you can see the cost of it here is 100 BitGold. This lemonade stand earns 10 BitGold per hour, and so forth and so forth. We have all of these different ones here. Now, normally we did make a video, older video on a game similar to this. What you would have to do is buy the NFT, then you would need to stake the NFT. You would have to confirm all those transactions and everything. What we've done in this version of the game is we can just purchase one of these NFTs. So let's just say we want to buy a convenience store here. It is 1,000 BitGold, and it earns us 100 BitGold per hour. What I'm going to do here is actually click buy now. And again, because I have smart wallets, I have gases turned on, I have embedded wallets here, I'm not having to sign any transactions. It's actually minting the NFT for us, this 1155 token for us. It's spending the 1,000 BitGold, it's setting all the approvals, and what it's actually going to do here is stake this NFT to our staking contract. So we don't need to go through this multiple procedure of doing different steps and everything. I'm just waiting here for my NFT to be purchased, and we should see it being staked in just a moment. So there you go. Now it's staking our business, and it's setting the approvals and everything all behind the scenes. The user doesn't see any of this. And once it's staked, we should be able to go back to our business, and it's going to start earning BitGold already. So if I come back to my business here, you can see now I have right here my convenience store, and it's already earning the BitGolds right over here. We create this ideal of a very simple idle game. Now the UI of it might not be the greatest, but you can see here that it's one of those basic games where I purchase something that earns me revenue. I collect the revenue. I can then go back in, purchase more businesses, and earn more, spend more, and it's just one of those continuous games just like that. But all of the assets are all on chain. So again, the currency here is an actual ERC-20 token. The businesses are 1155s. The worker is actually used as our access pass for the game. So the next thing I'm going to go over is what happens when someone starts a brand new new account, like they're new to the game and everything. So if we look at our shops here, the minimum business here is a lemonade stand, which is 100 bit gold. When you sign in, how do you get a worker NFT and how do you get some bit gold to start buying and purchasing businesses? So I'm going to sign out here. I'm going to disconnect. I'm going to sign in with another email here. I'm just going to say +123 so I can get a variation of this. Let me get this one-time password here. So once that's verified, what this is actually going to do is when we sign in, it's going to check if we have the worker NFT. That's our way of knowing if someone is new to this game or not. The worker NFT is non-transferable, and if they don't have it, what we're going to do is actually use thirdweb's engine, and we're going to claim a worker NFT for the user along with minting them 100 BitGold tokens. This way, when a user is brand new to the game, they'll have a worker to start off with, they'll have 100 BitGold, and they have enough to purchase their first business. So you can see here, we're claiming the worker in tokens. And again, this is finding out that this is a brand new account because we don't have this NFT here. So once someone signs in with a brand new account, they're minted this NFT, it's non-transferable, so it's stuck to their account. And that's how we verify if they're new to the game or not. So you can see here, we now have a new worker. Automatically starts with 100 BitGold. I can come to my shop here. I can buy my first business, which I can only buy a lemonade stand here. So right over here, you can see it's purchasing the business. It's going to stake the business for us and we can start earning. And from there, we can start playing this little game and we can start purchasing businesses and earning more tokens. So there you go. Now it's staking the business. And once the business is staked, we can go back. Our BitGold balance should drop down to 0 because we've spent all of our BitGold that we were initially funded with. And then again, our business should be staked and we should start earning 10 BitGold an hour. So once that's done staking, there you go. If we come back to businesses here, you can see we're at 0 BitGold. We have our lemonade stand staked and it is now earning some BitGold right over here. We have to wait until we have enough, we can claim the revenue and we can start playing the game. And that is going to be the game that we are building here. Now, another thing that we've implemented is Auth into here as well. So let's disconnect here. So none of the game is accessible until you sign in through our login page here. This means if I go to our regular page, our regular dashboard page, I can't access it because I'm not logged in and I don't own the NFT. If I try to go to our shop page, I also can't view our shop page as well because it's all locked behind us being able to authenticate and log in through this login screen here. We're going to go through a few different things, but this is the basic premise of the game and what we're going to be building in this tutorial. Hey everyone, Sean Watasa here, back with another tutorial video. And in today's video, we're going to be building our very own Web3 idle game. It's going to be a browser game. We've done videos like this in the past. Essentially what we're going to be doing is building an ERC-1155 staking game. So an overview of how we're going to break down this tutorial here. We're first going to show you how to create an embedded wallet and smart wallet combination for your login. This way users can log in with just an email or social login and a wallet will be generated for them. Next, we'll look into thirdweb's Auth and we'll see how we can build our application to make sure that a user is authenticated prior to being able to access any of the pages within our app. We'll then deploy out all the smart contracts that we need for this tutorial and project. We'll deploy our very own ERC-1155 NFT, which will be our worker and our access token to proving if a player is new or not. We'll deploy an ERC-20 token, which will be our reward token. We'll deploy an ERC-1155 token, which will be our businesses that we're going to be using in our game. And then finally, we'll deploy an ERC-1155 staking contract, which will stake the businesses and reward the ERC-20 tokens to the user. We'll then build out when a new player signs up for our game. We'll be using thirdweb's engine to mint them a brand new ERC-1155 worker token, along with 100 of our ERC-20 tokens so that they can purchase their first business. We'll then work on displaying the game dashboard where a user can look at their token balance and their worker NFT along with their businesses that they have purchased and view the earnings that each business is receiving. And then finally, we'll build out the store where a user can spend the tokens that they've earned to buy more businesses to earn more tokens. And that is an overview of how we're breaking down this tutorial. We'll link all the timestamps down in the description below if you ever need to jump back and forth between them. And with that being said, let's jump on the computer here and let's get started. Let's first start off by creating ourselves a new project. So I'm going to come over to my terminal here. I'm going to run npx thirdweb create app. And we're going to build ourselves a new thirdweb project here. We'll name our project here, we'll call this our YouTube idle game. And we're going to be using Next.js and TypeScript for this example here. And once that is done here, we'll just change into our YouTube idle game. And we'll open this up in our code editor. And in our code editor here, what we're going to do first is we're going to set up a way for a user to connect their wallet and to be able to utilize our embedded wallet plus smart wallet combination. This means that a user can sign in with a social login or email, and that will generate them a wallet, but that will be used as an EOA wallet to a smart wallet or an ERC-4337 smart contract wallet. And we can enable things like a gasless functionality and a whole bunch of different things that we're going to get into. So what I'm going to do here first is we'll set up our project. So in our pages folder, going to the _app.tsx file, we first need to set up our thirdweb provider here. And we need to provide it with our client ID. This is going to be stored in an environment variable. So in our files, you'll see a .env.example folder here. And we're going to grab our client ID here, which is our thirdweb API key. So I'm going to come over to thirdweb here, and I'm going to come over to my settings tab. And right here, I'm just going to copy my API key. Now we'll link down in the description below a link to a tutorial video and some documentation if you want to learn a little bit more about API keys. I'm gonna come back here. I'm gonna paste that into my .env file, and I'm actually gonna rename this here, get rid of .example at the end, and just leave it at .env. Coming back to our _app.tsx file, that does it for our client ID. Next, we need to set our active chain. Now it's set to this active chain variable, which is right up here, and by default, it's set to Ethereum. Now you can switch this over to whichever chain that you are going to be deploying your gaming contracts to. In my case, I'm going to be using the Mumbai network, so I'm going to switch that over to Mumbai. And now that we have the two things required for our thirdweb provider, we're going to set up what wallets we want to support with this as well. So in the thirdweb provider, we can add supported wallets. And we're going to give it an array of the wallets that we want to support. Now, the one wallet that we want to be able to support is our smart wallet. And our smart wallet, what we need to do is provide it with our wallet config and our smart wallet config. So the wallet config is what's going to be the EOA wallet for our smart wallet. And for us, we want to make that an embedded wallet. So a user will sign in again with the social login or email that will generate them an embedded wallet, which will be used as the EOA wallet to the smart wallet. If you want to learn a little bit more about what smart wallets are, we have a whole course on our smart wallets, account abstraction, and we'll link that down in the description below if you want to learn a little bit more about what this tool and feature is and what it can offer. Now, what we need to do is provide it with our smart wallet configs, and our smart wallet config here, we need to provide it with our factory address. And this factory address is going to be our account factory address, or the factory address that's going to generate our smart contract wallets for a user. And then we have gasless here, and we're going to enable gasless. So we're going to set that to true. So I'm not going to provide a factory address yet. We haven't deployed it yet. We'll come back to that in just a moment. Next, I'm going to come back to my file directory here. And I'm going to create a new folder here. I'm going to name it components. And in that components folder, I'm going to create a new file, and I'm going to create a navbar.tsx file. Now, coming back to our demo application here, let me just sign in again. We're not going to build the login screen just yet. What we're going to build is this navbar right up here. So we're going to give it a title. We'll give it some links. We're not going to display the balance yet, but we'll create this connect wallet button right up here. So in my navbar.tsx file, I'm going to create our navbar here. And my navbar here, we're going to return, and we'll just give it a div here, and we'll save this. And in here, what I want to do is I want to only display this navbar if there is a wallet connected. Now I can do this by using a hook called useAddress. So I'm going to store this in a address variable, and I'm going to use a hook called useAddress. And what this hook does is it gets the wallet address of a connected wallet to our application. And if it doesn't have a wallet connected, it just returns undefined. So with that, we can display and say, hey, only if we have an address do I want you to display our navbar here. So within our navbar, we will have a few different things. We're going to have, we'll just say a title here that says Web3 idle game. Then we'll have a div. This will contain our links, which will be like our business links and our shop link. Then on the another div on the right side of our nav bar, we'll have another div here that will display our balance, our token balance, and a connect wallet button. So we'll say connect wallet button here. And that's a UI component from thirdweb that gives us a fully functioning connect wallet button for a user to log out, disconnect their wallet, or connect the wallet. So I'm going to save that, and then I'm going to come back to our underscore app.tsx file. And above my components within my thirdweb provider here, I'm going to add my navbar here. We'll import navbar here. And I don't think I exported it. Make sure we export navbar. There we go. And then what we'll do here is open up my terminal, and I'm going to run yarn dev to run our application. So right over here, you'll see that we have some boilerplate code here from thirdweb. Now we can imagine that this is our login screen here. And when we hit connect, you can see we can sign in with our social logins and email. And once we're connected, we should see our nav bar. Now we can't do this right now because we haven't set up our account factory smart contract, which is what is going to help us deploy smart contract wallets for our users. So let's do that now. We'll come over to thirdweb. We're going to come over to the contracts tab, and I'm going to hit deploy a contract here. Now it will be in our popular section. You'll see account factory. If not, you can scroll down and there should be a smart wallet section here, and you can deploy an account factory contract from here as well. So select account factory. We're going to hit deploy now. And what you can do is, if you want this account factory to be the same contract address across different chains, you can deploy a deterministic address. I'm not going to do that here. I'm just going to deploy a regular account factory contract. And I'm going to select my network and chain here in this dropdown. So again, I'm using Mumbai testnet, but you can use any EVM compatible network or chain here. Mainnet, testnet, you can search your own. You can add your own custom as well. You can select your network here. I'm going to select Mumbai. And I'm going to deploy this contract. I'm going to get a transaction confirmation here. I'm going to confirm that transaction to deploy my contract. We'll get another transaction that pops up. This is actually a signature request. So we can assign this request here to add it to our thirdweb dashboard. So we'll hit sign there. It's going to add it to our thirdweb dashboard. And then it should bring us to our contract dashboard of our account factory. There we go. We now have our account factory contract here. So I'm just going to copy that account factory contract address. Come back to my code editor here. Let me just drop down my terminal. Coming back to right here under our smart wallet and under our our factory address, we're going to provide our contract address there. So now when I sign in with our embedded wallet, it's going to generate a smart contract wallet using this factory address here and generate us a smart wallet. So now I can come back to my demo app here. And if we were to connect, say we connect with our Google account, this is going to log us in. It is going to then connect our smart wallet here. And there you go. You can see now we have our nav bar here, which has our title and our connect wallet button here. We're going to add some styling and add our links in just a moment. But you can see right there, we now have a smart wallet that is generated for us. So we can disconnect that. And let's come back over to our code editor and let's add some styling in here. Now I'm going to add a styling that I already have. You can grab the same styling. We'll link the GitHub repo down in the description below. I'm just going to add some styling here. So as we go through our tutorial, we don't need to waste any time styling our application. You can just throw in the class names that I'm going to be using. So style here in this, I'm just going to paste in my custom styling. And then coming back to our navbar.tsx, I'm going to import our styles here. And then I'm going to, in this div that wraps our whole navbar, I'm going to add a class name of styles.navbar container. And then for this middle div here, we're going to add a class name of styles.navbar options. And I'm going to actually add in my links right over here. So I'm going to add a link. This is going to link just to our home page, and this is going to be called businesses. So businesses, and then we'll copy this and we'll create another link here. Actually, we'll wrap this in p tags, and then we'll just copy this. This will be our shop, and this is going to go to a shop page that we're going to create later on. I'm also going to copy this class name here and provide it to this last section here. So now if I come back to my app, if I connect a wallet, we'll connect again with the Google Wallet. It'll connect us to our smart account, and there you go. We now have our nav bar up here on the top. So now we have embedded wallet and smart wallet combination set, right? Now a user can sign in with a social login or email. We'll generate them a wallet, set that as an EOA to a smart wallet, where we can now use features like gasless transactions and everything. So let's just sign out here. Next thing we're going to do is go over how to set up Auth with thirdweb. So we'll take a look at our documentation here. We'll link this down in the description below as well. But under the connect section, we do have Auth, where we can authenticate users and their wallets. So what this will do is we can make sure that a user has to authenticate their wallet, which is a smart wallet that we create them, before accessing any part of our application. So we can kind of block everything behind a login screen so that a user has to log in order to access our app. And what we're going to do here is we're just going to follow our documentations really quick. We're going to install Auth here. So you can either run this with npm, yarn, or pnpm. So we'll just copy this, come back to our code editor, open up our terminal, paste that in. We'll install Auth. Then in our pages folder, we're going to create a new folder. We're going to call that API. We're going to create a new folder within that called Auth. And then within that Auth folder, we're going to create a new file where we're going to store our thirdweb auth. So we'll put thirdweb and then in brackets and then .ts. And in this file here, we're going to set up our thirdweb auth. So we're going to just export our variables here, which we're going to get our thirdweb auth handler and a function called get users, which is going to return our user when they are logged in with Auth. And we are then going to use thirdweb auth here. And we just need to configure Auth here. And what we need to provide thirdweb auth is with our wallet. And what we're going to do here is create a new private key wallet where we're going to have to provide our private key for our wallet. We'll go over that in just a bit. And then we're going to provide the domain that the signature to authenticate is going to come from. So we'll store this in our env file here. So we'll just say .env. We'll say domain. Or this is going to be set as an empty string here. So for our new private key, we're also going to store for this tutorial our private key in our environment variable. Now storing your private key in your environment variable, you can do this for testing and development purposes. In production, you're not going to want to store your private key in your environment variables. We'll link down in the description below some safer ways that you can actually store your private key. Again, for this tutorial and example here, we're just going to store it in our environment variable. So we're going to say .env .private key. Not auth, but auth next. And then we're going to import private key here. Nope. So import private key wallet from thirdweb-dev/auth/evm. And we need these to be commas, not semicolons. There we go. We're also going to make sure that we export our default thirdweb auth handler. So in this file, again, we're just setting up our thirdweb auth. If we come back to our documentations here, you can look at getting started and you can follow this here, which is basically what we just went through. So once we have our thirdweb auth handler exported, we also need to set up our thirdweb provider to make sure that it knows that we are using auth. So back in our _app.tsx file, in our thirdweb provider, after supported wallets here, we'll add our auth config. And in our auth config, we need to provide it with our domain, which again is going to be stored in our environment variable. So we'll say process.env.domain, or we'll leave it as an empty string. And then we need to set our auth URL. So, and this auth URL is going to be going to that API auth folder where we stored our thirdweb auth. And that's where we'll authenticate our users' wallets. So once we have that set, now we can build out our login page, and we can also add in the logic to our home page and our shop page that we want to make sure that a user is logged in prior to being able to access that page. So in our file directory here, I'm going to create a couple new pages. So in my pages folder, I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to call this one login. shop.tsx. Then I'm going to create another page here, or another file, and call this one shop.tsx. And we're going to start in our index.tsx file first. So in our index.tsx file, I'm going to delete everything in this return. This is the boilerplate code that you get when you create a project with thirdweb. So I'm just going to delete all of that. And I'm just going to throw in some empty div tags here. And I'm going to get rid of this image and this connect wallet import. So over here in my homepage, I'm going to first use the use user hook from thirdweb. And this is going to provide us if a user is logged in or if they are logging in. So we'll say we'll get is logged in and is loading to see if a user is logging in. And we're going to, again, use the use user hook from thirdweb. Then we're going to set our router here so we can route the user to the login page if they have to, or we can route them to the home page and give them access to it. So we'll use router here. And then we're going to create a use effect here. And this use effect will make sure that when a user is logged in or is loading, or we'll say router as well, what we're going to do here is check if the user is not logged in. They're not logged in and it is not loading the user, right? So if we're not loading the user and we find out that they're not logged in, which means that they are not authenticated, we are going to then push them to our login page. So we'll do router push and then to our login page here. Now to check to make sure that when someone loads this page here that they are authenticated or not, we're going to create a server-side function that checks if they are logged in. So below this export default home here, we're going to export an async function called get server-side props. And what we're going to take is our context, which can be any. And in this server-side prop, again, we're going to check if a user is logged in. And if they aren't, which they aren't authenticated, then we're going to redirect them automatically to our login page. This one up here is checking to see, hey, if someone is logged in and they log out, we're going to check and see that they logged out, and then we'll redirect them to the login page. So this is going to be our server-side function that gets called every time this page loads to make sure that a user is actually logged in. So we can get our user to make sure that they are logged in. What we're going to be using is the get user function that we created and that we exported in our auth file here, right? Get user. So we're going to say get user. So we're going to get user with the context request that we have, see if they are logged in or not. And if we do not have a user, so if there is no user, what we're going to do is return, and we are going to redirect our user to our, say, the destination to our login page. We'll set permanent to false. And then at the end, we're not returning any props or anything, so we'll just leave return empty props here. But this is just going to, again, run every time our page loads. It's a server-side function that's going to check, see if we have a user. If there is no user, we're going to redirect them to the login page so they can log in with their social login or email and generate a wallet to use our game. So with that, we're going to create our login page, right? If they get redirected, they're going to get redirected to our login page here. So we're going to create our login, and then we'll export our login page here. And within our login page, we'll just return, and we'll add some empty divs here for now. Now in our login page, we're going to use something called our connect embed. So instead of having a connect wallet button that we need to click the button UI and then it shows a pop-up, and then we need to sign in with a social login or email, we can just show that connect modal itself, and which we call connect embed. So we're going to create a variable here called login optional, which we're going to set to not true, false. And this is something that we're going to provide our connect embed. Now we're going to use a hook called use show connect embed, which will give us back if we should actually show the connect embed or not. Essentially, if we're not logged in or we don't have a connected wallet, we can show the embed, and if not, then we shouldn't show the embed. So we'll just say show connected embed. And then in our div here, we're going to give this outside div a class name here of styles. Let's import styles really quick. So give it a styles of container. And in that div, we're going to give it a h1 tag here and just call this our web3 idle game again. And then below that, we're going to say, hey, if we do need to show the connect embed, so if show connect embed, then we will show the connect embed. And if not, we're not going to show anything. So we'll say connect embed here. Now in connect embed, we do need to provide that we are using auth. So we'll say auth here. And we need to set the login optional here. So login optional, we can set as login optional, which is the variable here that we set. And what this will do here is show that connect screen. So if we come back to our app here and I go to /login, there you go. We now have this right over here. And then you can stylize this connect embed however you want. We'll drop a link down in the description below too on a video that we went over on how to customize your own custom connect embed here. And you can make this really look like a normal sign-in page that you see in your regular web applications. So coming back to our code editor here, we're going to do the similar thing that we did to our index.tsx page. So I'm going to get is logged in, is loading, and then use user again. And then we're also going to get our router and use router. And then for right now, we'll just check, we'll create a use effect here for right now that checks if a user is logged in and is not loading, then we can push them to our homepage here. And then down here below our export to default, we're going to again export and create a get server side props here, which is going to run every time this page loads to check to get our user here, which we are going to get user with our context requests. And if there is a user, we are going to, and if there is a user, actually we need to wait here. So if there is a user, then we will redirect them to our homepage here and set permanent to false. And again, no props are needed to be passed through, so we'll just return empty props here. So this should have our auth set up here. So if we come back to our app, if we try to load our homepage here, we need to set our private key. So let's come back here. So in our .env file, we're going to set our two variables for our thirdweb auth, which is domain, which I'm just going to say example.com. And then we're going to set our private key. So you can grab your private key from the wallet that you want to use. I'm going to grab my private key, put it in here, and then we'll come back to our login.tsx page. So I added in my private key. Actually, let's come back here to our terminal. So in our terminal here, we'll just restart our server. We'll run yarn dev. So right over here, let's try and load our homepage. You can see right here, we're redirected back into our login page. So we can't go into our homepage or anything. And we have auth set up. Now we're going to do the same thing for our shop page really quick. We're not going to build it out, but we're going to make sure that we can redirect over here as well. So coming to our shop.tsx page, we're going to, let me just close my terminal here. Export default, we'll call this shop. We'll just return some empty divs here. And then we're going to, again, get is logged in, loading user. We'll use user. We'll get router here. So router using use router. We'll create the same use effect here. And then at the very bottom here, we'll create our same server-side prop or get server-side props here to check to see if we'll import get user. If there is a user connected, and if there is no user, then we redirect them to our login page. So coming back here, if we try to go to our shop page, you can see we are redirected directly back to our login page because we haven't logged in yet. So what I'm going to do here is a login with my account. You can see here we're connecting to Smart Wallet. You can see that we're actually signing in. So normally when you have auth set up, and you have something like a MetaMask wallet or something, you'll get a transaction that pops up asking for a signature for you to sign. Because we have embedded wallets connected to our smart wallet, that embedded wallet will actually automatically sign that authentication for us. Now, what this is going to do is actually deploy your smart wallet. And from there, you can see we have a smart wallet and we have a smart wallet connected to our application. Let's actually get rid of this extra connect wallet here. So there you go. And you see our nav bar displays. We have our business. We can go to our shop page, which we don't have anything set up in our business page as well. And then if we come here, we can disconnect. We're brought back to our login page. I can't access the home page. I can't access the shop page until I am signed in with one of our wallets and I'm signed in with Auth. So that is Auth setup. So again, we set up our embedded wallet and smart wallet login combination. We set up Auth. So now a user has to sign in order to get access to our game. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to start building out our game. We have the layout of our application and game here. So let's first deploy the smart contracts and then we'll start building the UI of our game. So coming back to our thirdweb account here, I'm going to open up a new tab for contracts and we're going to deploy a few contracts. So I'm going to hit deploy contract here. The first contract I'm going to deploy is an NFT and I'm going to deploy an open edition ERC-721. Now, an open edition ERC-721 is different from an NFT drop. Basically, we can set a individual metadata for our NFT. So all the NFTs in this collection are going to be the same. This is going to be our worker NFT. And we can leave this as an open edition, meaning that a new person will keep minting a new NFT and there's an endless amount, meaning that we can have any amount of players play on our game and we don't need to cap it off at a certain limit. So I'm going to use an open edition ERC-721. I'm going to hit deploy now. I'm going to name this worker NFT. We'll call this our worker. And I'm going to upload a file or image here of our worker NFT. And I'm going to deploy this to the same network, which is Mumbai here. I'm gonna hit deploy now. I'm going to confirm the transaction to deploy our contract, confirm the second transaction, which is setting the NFT metadata. And finally, we're gonna assign the signature request to add it to our dashboard. And there you go. We now are brought to our contract dashboard here. What we need to do now is go over to our NFT tab here on the left-hand side, and we're going to set the NFT metadata. So we're going to call this our idle worker. And we can upload our image of our NFT. And we can add a description if we want. And what we're going to do is set this as the NFT metadata. So every NFT that is minted will have this same metadata right over here. So we'll set that NFT metadata, confirm that transaction, and there we go. It's all set now. So what we'll do next is set the claim condition. And we're going to add a phase here. And we're going to select only owner. And what this means is only the owner will be able to mint the NFT. Now we're going to set it to only owner. And what we're going to be doing is setting this to our backend wallet on Engine. Our wallet in Engine should be the only one that has access to mint an NFT or one of these worker NFTs to a wallet or an account of our game. So I'm going to set this to only owner for now. We're going to set the owner of this contract to our backend wallet in a moment. We're just going to hit save phase here. We're going to save this here and confirm it. Once that's saved, we're going to come over to the permissions tab here on the left. And we're going to set the transfer here to non-transferable. And again, this is the NFT that we're going to be using to validate whether or not an account that's signing in is a new account or if they already are playing the game. And we don't want this token to be transferable because then if they transfer it out, then our game is going to recognize and say, hey, this person is new to the game, mint them another NFT. So we want to make sure that once they log in the first time that we give them and provide them this NFT, we set up their new account and they won't be able to claim or transfer another one of these NFTs after that. So again, we're going to set that transfer to non-transferable and we're going to update our permissions here and we're going to click confirm. And there you go. We have that set. And this is going to be our first contract here. Now I'm going to open up another tab here for contracts. And the next contract we're going to deploy is going to be our token contract. So I'm going to hit deploy contract. I'm going to select the token contract here. Now I'm not using token drop. I'm going to do a regular token contract. And I'm going to select deploy now. And we're going to name this BitGold. And we'll call this BitG as the symbol. And we're going to select Mumbai as a network. I'll select an image here. I have an image of the token. And I'm going to hit deploy now. Going to confirm that transaction there to deploy our contract. Then we'll sign the signature request to add it to our dashboard. Once that's deployed, we're going to come over to the tokens tab here on the left. And we're going to mint our first amount of BitGold here. So we're going to hit mint, and I'm going to just mint 1 million BitGold. Now you can mint more, you can mint less for your game, however you want to do the economics of your game. You can set this here, but we're setting this as 1 million. And this is going to be the tokens that we supply to our staking contract to reward out to people when they claim their rewards from their businesses. So we're going to just mint 1 million tokens here. We'll confirm that transaction. And there you go. You can see we have 1 million BitGold right over here. Now we're going to have to come back to this contract in a moment after we deploy our staking contract. But next, let's deploy our business contracts. So let's open up a new contract tab here. We'll deploy a contract. And for this one, we're going to deploy an addition drop contract. Now, addition drop contract is an ERC-1155 contract. And these are semi-fungible tokens. So we can just create our little businesses and we can allow people to claim those businesses. So business like the lemonade stand, it'll be one NFT, but they'll have multiple owners of the tokens within that one NFT. So we're gonna hit deploy now. We're gonna call this idle game businesses. We'll call this business. And we'll give it an image. We'll just give it an image of our lemonade stand. And again, selecting your network or chain, I'm going to leave it as Mumbai here and hit deploy. We'll confirm that transaction. We'll sign that request to add it to our dashboard. Once that's deployed in our contract dashboard here, we're going to come over to NFTs. And for our NFTs, we're going to just single upload. I don't have the metadata here to batch upload, but we're going to single upload here. We'll call the first one here lemonade stand. We'll upload the media. You can add description if you want, properties. We're not going to do any of that here, but we're just going to lazy mint this NFT. And I'll confirm the transaction here to save that and lazy mint it. If you folks want access to any of the images and everything that I'm using within this tutorial, it'll be in the GitHub repo down below as well. So you guys can use the same images, download them, and then use them for your NFTs here. And then once that is done, I'm going to do this for the remainder of the 4 business NFTs that I have. And then I'll come back once I'm done doing those. And there you go. I lazy minted all 5 of the business NFTs that I have. So a lemonade stand, a ramen shop, a snack shop, convenience store, and shopping mall. Now for each one of these, we need to set claim conditions for each individual one. Because they are ERC-1155 tokens, we can set different conditions and prices for each one of these NFTs. So this first one here, we'll get lemonade stand. We'll click on it. We'll set the claim conditions here. So we'll set claim conditions in this tab. We'll add a phase. We'll leave it as public here. And in public, we're going to set it to unlimited, and unlimited can be claimed per wallet. The price though, we're going to make this 100, and this is going to be 100 of our BitGold token. So in this drop down here, you can select different tokens here from Matic, USDC, Wrapped Ethereum, USDT, but we can select custom ERC-20. Then we can come back to our token contract, grab our BitGold contract address, paste that in there, make sure we hit save, and then we can set it as 100 BitGold. So in order to purchase this, you need to use the in-game currency in order to claim it. So we can hit save phase here, confirm that transaction to save, and there you go. We have our claim condition set for our lemonade stand. So we're going to do this for the other businesses as well. I'm going to do it for ramen shop. Ramen shop, I'm going to set this one to 300 tokens. So I'm going to say public. And then for this one, we're going to make it 300. We're going to make it our custom here. Paste in our BitGold address and hit save. Confirm that transaction. There we go. We'll come over to our snack shop. This one we're going to set to 500. Set our custom. And you can make it whatever values and, however much you want to charge, whatever, game economics that you think of, you can create your own. For this tutorial and this example game, I just kind of made up numbers here, so that's what we're going with. Click confirm, come back. We'll go to our convenience store. We'll set this one to 1000. Come down here, custom ERC-20, paste in our address, save that one. Then we'll come back to our final one, which is our shopping mall. We'll go to claim conditions, set it to public, and this one we'll set to 1500. Select our custom ERC-20, paste that in and save it, and save our last phase here. We'll confirm that. And there we go. We now have our idle game or our businesses and our ERC-1155 tokens ready that we can add into our shop later on. The final contract that we're going to deploy, I'm going to open up another tab in contracts here, is going to be our staking contract. So I'm going to hit deploy contract, and I'm going to scroll down to our staking section here, and I'm going to deploy a stake ERC-1155. Our businesses are going to be the NFTs that we're going to be staking, and in return, they're going to earn ERC-20 tokens or our BitGold tokens, and then we're going to set the different rewards for those. So what we're going to do here is deploy now. We're going to deploy our contract, so we'll just call this our Web3 idle game staking contract. We'll just call this idle here. Now we're going to have to add a few contract parameters here. So first one is we have to provide the ERC-20 reward token. So this is going to be the token that gets rewarded out to the user when they have a ERC-1155 token staked. So this is going to be our BitGold here. We're going to come here, copy our BitGold contract address, paste that in. Next is going to be the ERC-1155 staking token address. So this is going to be our contract address for our ERC-1155 businesses. So this one here, we'll copy that. Then the default time unit for rewards. So in our case, I'm going to be saying, hey, you're going to be rewarded this amount every hour. So for an hour, we have to put this in seconds. So I'm going to say 3,600 seconds. And how much rewards are you going to earn every hour? This is only going to ask, this is the default reward. So we're going to set this to the reward of the lemonade stand. We're going to manually adjust the tokens for the other businesses later on. So in here under default reward tokens, we do need to provide this in Way. So I'm going to come to a Way converter here, and Way is just the smallest units here for Ethereum. Ether is normally the values that we see, like 10, 10.5, but we need the Way value. And for our lemonade stand, it earns 10 BitGold every hour. So I'm going to take this Way value here, and I'm going to put that into the default reward units per time. Again, network and chain, I'm deploying this onto Mumbai. You'll select the same network or chain that you've been using, and I'm going to select deploy now. I'm going to confirm that transaction to deploy our contract. Then we'll sign our request here to add it to our dashboard. Once we have our staking contract deployed, we're going to head over to the Explorer tab, and we're going to set rewards per unit time here. So if you scroll down under the right section here, and what we're going to do is manually set the rewards for the other tokens. What we set was the default reward per unit time, and that's the default for any token that we don't set manually here. So next one we're going to do is we're going to set token ID number 1, which is our ramen shop, and the reward per unit time here, we're going to come back to our converter. For that one, it's going to be 30 per hour. And you can, again, make this whatever numbers you want. Just remember that you do need to provide the value in Way. So we'll paste that in here. We'll execute that. So this is going to set token ID 1's rewards to 30 BitGold an hour. Right? Once that's set, we're going to set the second one, which is our snack shop. That one's going to be 50 BitGold an hour. We can just actually come here and just change this first number here to 5. And we'll execute that one. Next one we'll do is our convenience store, which is going to be 100 BitGold per hour. So while that's going, let's just do 100, copy that. There we go. So we'll set token ID 3 to 100, execute that. And then the last one will be our shopping mall, which is going to be 150. We can copy that. And that will be the last one here that we're going to set for token ID 4. And if you want to know what the token ID reference is, if you come here, the token IDs here on the left-hand side, but it's just the index of the token within our contract. So here we'll say token ID 4 is 150, and we'll set that one there. So I confirm, there we go. We now have all our tokens set with the amount of rewards that they have. Now, we do need to provide our staking contract here with the ERC-20 tokens. so that it can reward out those tokens to people who claim the rewards. What we're going to have to do first is give approval to this staking contract to our token, saying that, hey, this contract has the approval to distribute these tokens to whatever contract or whatever wallet address is claiming them. So we're going to copy our contract staking contract address here. We're going to come over to our BitGold contract, and I'm going to come to the Explorer over here. And then I'm going to set the approve here. The spender is going to be our staking contract and the value that they're allowed to spend. So in this case, we did 1 million tokens. So again, we need to come over here, set the delay here to 1 million. We'll get that. We'll come back to our BitGold and say, hey, they are able to spend 1 million tokens. So we'll execute that here. We will set the approval for them and approve. And there you go. They are able to now spend and distribute that 1 million tokens. Next, we need to now deposit the 1 million tokens into that staking contract. So coming back to our staking contract here, we're going to write and we're going to deposit our reward tokens. We're going to deposit the amount here and we are going to execute that. So we're going to deposit the 1 million tokens and we can hit confirm. And there you go. We have deposited the 1 million tokens here to our contract. So if we were to take our staking contract, come to BitGold and hit read, and we go balance of and provide our staking contract here, you can see it has our 1 million tokens. So our contracts are set for the most part. We're going to have to come back and set the owner of our ERC-721 contract, but our staking contract, our businesses, and our token contracts are all set. So what we're going to do here is come back to our code editor, and we're going to create a new file or folder here. So let me just create a new folder. We'll name that one constants. And in the constants folder, we're going to create a new file called contracts.ts. And we're going to just store all our contracts in here so we can use them throughout our application. So I have my worker contract address, my token contract address, the business contract address, the staking contract address. I also have the account factory contract address. So I can actually come back here. Let's store the account factory in here, and then we can use our account factory address here instead. So we'll come back to our contracts here, and let's copy and paste in all of our contract addresses. So we have our BitGold one here, which is our token contract. We have our worker NFT. We have our businesses, and we have our staking contract. Right, so we have all of those contracts set. Now let's come back to our nav bar and let's display our token balance like in our demo here. So what we can do here is we can get our contract and we'll say this is our token contract. And we're going to use the use contract hook and provide it with our token contract address. And with that contract or that instance of our contract, we can use the token balance hook. We'll get back some data here. We'll store that under a token balance variable. So we can use the use token balance hook here. Provide it with the token contract and the address, which is the address variable up here, which is the wallet address. That way we can get the balance for that wallet. And then over here, I'm just going to create a very simple truncate function here that just will make our value a little bit smaller. And then down here, we can say by this above this connect wallet. So before it, we'll say if we have a token balance, we'll display the truncated number of our token balance dot display value as a string here, as a string. And behind that, we'll get the token symbol. We can get that from our token balance dot symbol. So again, we're just truncating the value shorter to the token balance dot display value, and then we're displaying the symbol right after it. Let's try restarting this here. So let's delete that one. Run yarn dev again. Let's see, it looks like it's getting stuck here again. Let's just throw a connect wallet button in here real quick. We'll connect. And there you go. You can see we have our nav bar and we're now displaying the value right up here. So the next thing we want to do is, again, in that demo game, when a user is new and they don't have the NFT that means they're a new user, and we should mint them the NFT and supply them with 100 BitGold here so that they have enough to purchase their first business. So we're going to build that functionality in here right now. So we're going to come back to our code editor here. We're going to go back to the login page. And in this login page, we're going to create the logic here to check the balance of the ERC-721 NFT. And if they don't have it, we're going to mint them that, and we're going to mint them the 100 tokens. That way they can purchase their first business. So what we're going to need is we're going to need a wallet here, and we're going to use the use wallet because one, we want to make sure that we check the instance of the smart wallet and not the embedded wallet. We also want to get the address, which we again can use the use address hook. And then we want to get instance of our SDK, which we're going to use the use SDK hook here from thirdweb. We're going to create ourselves a couple state variables here. So we're going to say loading worker status is when we're checking the status of the worker to see if the user actually has one. So we'll set that to false by default. We'll import use state. Then we're going to create a state for the loading status. Or sorry, we'll set that to an empty string. This is the string that will provide and display where we are within the checking or claiming of the NFTs and tokens. So we'll say down here, if we're loading the worker status, then we are going to return, we'll say a div here that has the class name of styles.container. And in that div, we'll just display some text that shows the loading status text. So right here, we're going to create our function, and this function is going to say, and this function is going to be called check new player. So we're going to check if the wallet connected is a new player, and we determine this by seeing if they own the NFT or not. So within this function, we're going to run a try catch. In the catch, we'll just console error the error, and we'll alert saying that there was a error checking for the status of the new player. And in the try, what we're going to do is we're going to utilize thirdweb's engine to check the balance of the NFT, and if they meet the requirements or they don't have the NFT, we'll mint them the NFT and send them over the tokens. So we're going to create our engine API request here. In the API folder, we're going to create a new file. We're going to call this claim tokens.ts. And in here, we're going to open up our terminal. We're going to run yarn add at thirdweb-dev/engine. And we're going to set up our engine request right over here. So we're going to create a handler here, which is going to take our next API request and next API response here. We'll import those. In here, we're going to check if the request method is not equal to a post. We'll return a status 405, we'll say with a JSON and a message saying that method is not allowed. We're then going to get the variables that we need to get our instance of engine, and we're going to store those variables in our environment variables. The variables we're going to need is the engine URL, our engine access token, and our thirdweb engine wallet, which is going to be the backend wallet that can claim and distribute these NFTs and tokens for us. Then we'll run a try catch here. In the catch, we're just going to console error the error and return a status 500 saying that there was, we'll say, error claiming tokens. Now in the try here, we're going to make sure and say that if there is no thirdweb engine URL or no thirdweb access token or backend wallet, we return a, we won't return actually, we'll just throw a new error saying that the environment variables were not set. Now what we will be getting from our request is the address. So we're going to get this from our request body. This is going to be the address of the wallet, the smart wallet of the account. That way we know what address to send these NFTs and tokens to. If there is no address, then we'll just throw a new error saying an address was not provided. Next, we're going to get our instance of our engine here. So we'll say engine. This is going to equal a new engine that we can import here. So import engine from thirdweb-dev/engine. And to get our instance of engine, we need to provide it with one, the URL, which is going to be our thirdweb engine URL. And we need to provide it with our access token, which is going to be our thirdweb engine access token. And again, what we're going to be doing here is claiming the NFT and the tokens to the connected address. So in here, we're going to say a variable called claim worker. This is going to await our engine, and it's going to say this is an ERC-721, and we're calling the claim to function. Now in here, we need to provide the chain. This is going to be Mumbai. We need to provide the contract address. This is going to be our worker contract address. We need to provide the backend wallet, and this is going to be our thirdweb engine wallet. And then we need to give it a request body. And for this, we need to set the receiver, which is going to be the address, and then the quantity, which is going to just be 1. Then we are going to claim tokens. This is going to be very similar to what we did above. We are going to await engine. We are going to say ERC-20, and then we are going to claim 2. Same thing here. We select the chain, which is Mumbai. We set the token address. I'm sorry, this one, we're going to do mint 2. We're going to mint new tokens. We can't claim because this isn't a drop contract, but we're going to mint new tokens. So we have the chain, which is Mumbai. We have our token contract address. We have our backend wallet, which is going to be our thirdweb engine wallet. And then we have our response body here, which is going to be the to address, which is going to be the address. And the amount that we're going to mint is going to be 100. So they get the minimum amount of tokens needed to purchase their first business. Now, we don't want to load the game until they have actually received these tokens, because nothing's going to show in the game because they're not going to have these tokens available until they are claimed. So we don't want to load the game until they actually have the tokens claimed to them. So we can wait for the status of these requests here to be mined. And what we can do here is we can create a function called wait for mined status. And this is going to be a async function that is going to take the QID, which is going to be a string that we get back from the request here when we claim the tokens. And we'll just say let status right now equal a empty string. And while status does not equal mined, we can say, hey, get the response here. It's going to equal wait engine, and we can check our transaction here and check the transaction status and provide it the QID. And then we'll set the status here equal to the response.result.status as a string here. So we'll set the status to whatever the status is, and it'll keep checking the status until it is mined. Once it is mined, so we'll say here, if status does equal mined, then we can break this loop here. And we'll just say await new promise, and we'll check this every 3 seconds. So down here, we're going to wait for mined status, and we're going to get the claim worker.result.QID, and we'll do the same thing for our claim tokens. Once both of those have gone through, then we'll return our response of status 200, saying that our tokens were claimed. So again, that is going to be our request to engine to claim the tokens and the ERC-721 NFT to any player that is brand new. Again, we're utilizing if they own the ERC-721 to see if they are a new player or not. So in this check new player here, we're going to first check one, if the wallet is an instance of a smart wallet, right? We want to make sure that the smart wallet is signed in and connected to our application and not the embedded wallet. So we're going to make sure that we have an instance of our smart wallet and we have an address, our instance of our SDK from use SDK here. Then what we're going to do is check, then what we're going to do in here is set the loading worker status to true because we're checking the status. We're going to set the loading status to checking worker balance. Then we're going to check the balance of the worker here. So we're going to say first get our worker contract, and we can get this by awaiting our SDK, and we can say get contract, and we're going to get our worker contract here. Once we have our worker contract, we can get our worker balance, and we're going to await our worker contract dot ERC-721 dot balance of, and we're getting the balance of our address. So depending if they own the worker NFT or not, we'll say if the worker balance dot to number, because we're going to get a big number return, so we want to make sure it's a number here, is equal to 0, then we are going to set the loading status here to no worker found. And then we're going to create another try catch. And in this try, we're then going to try and make our request to engine to mint those NFTs. So we're going to set the loading status here to claiming worker and tokens. We're then going to get our response here and await and fetch our call to our API / claim tokens. And this is going to be a method of post. We're going to have our headers here, which is just going to be our content type, which is application JSON here. Then we have our body, which we're going to provide JSON.stringify, our address, which is the address we're going to send the tokens to. When we get back our response, we're going to get the data from our response, which will just await our response and get our JSON of it. And then if our response is not okay, we'll just throw an error giving our data message. And then we will set the loading status here to worker and tokens claimed. In the catch here, we'll set the console error to error. And then here we'll say finally. And in here for finally, we'll set the loading status back to empty strings. And we'll say router push and push them to our homepage here. And then here we'll say else if they do own the worker NFT already, we set the loading status to empty strings here and push them to our homepage. And then we'll set another else here saying that alert, and this is for, we'll say wallet is not a smart wallet. There you go. We have our function again to check our new player. So to go over this really quick again, we're first going to check if the wallet is an instance of smart wallet. Again, we want to make sure we're checking the smart wallet address and not the embedded wallet address. We'll then set the working status and the status here to checking the worker balance. We'll get our worker contract. We'll check the balance of that worker contract to see if the address connected owns that NFT. If they do not own that NFT, we'll make our call here to our engine API, which is going to claim the tokens for them, which in here is our claim token.ts, which is going to claim the worker and claim the tokens using engine. And then once that comes back, we'll set the loading status back to an empty string and push them to our homepage. If they already do own the token, then we just push them to the homepage because they already own the token. So in here, this use effect, instead of pushing them directly to the homepage here, we're going to run our check new player function. And again, if it is loading the worker status, we're going to show the status here. And then if it's not loading, then it should show the connect embed option down here. So let's test this out. And what we'll first do to test this out is we're going to add a few UI components to our homepage so we know if we have the token or not. So in here, I'm going to create a couple components here. The first component I'm going to go into my components folder, create a new file. I'm going to call this the worker.tsx. And for this, we're going to create a worker component, which is going to just display our worker NFT. So make sure we export our worker here. Now in here, we're going to have to make sure we display the worker only if the wallet owns a worker. So we'll get the address using use address hook again. We'll then get our worker contract. So we're going to get our contract. This is going to be our worker contract. And we're going to use contract and use our worker contract address. We're going to get our owned NFTs from here. So we'll say contract, and then we're going to say owned workers, and we'll say is loading. So we can get the loading status of our workers. And we'll just call this a loading workers. And we're going to use the use owned NFTs hook, and we're going to provide it with our worker contract and the address that we're checking, which is our connected wallet. Then we're also going to get our token contract because we want to display our token balance as well. So we're going to do the same thing that we did above, but for our token contract. And then we'll use the token contract, or we'll use the use contract with our token address here. And then like how we did for our nav bar, we're going to get the token balance and use the token balance with our token contract and our address. And then same thing here. I'm just going to paste in a quick truncate address here. Oh, this is not supposed to be, it's supposed to be data, not contract. So here in our div, we're going to give this div just some inline styling here and give it a width of 50%. And within that div, we're going to say once we are no longer loading our workers, we'll display our worker. If we're still loading it, we'll say here loading worker, not contract, just worker. So once we're done loading the workers, we're going to get our owned workers and make sure that our owned workers dot length is greater than 0. And if it is greater than 0, then we're going to get our owned workers. We're going to map through each one. Each one is going to give us a worker. And in there, we're going to give a div. We're going to give this div a class name of styles. Let's import styles here. So we're going to give this a class name of styles.workerContainer and a key here of worker.metadata.id. And in that div, we're going to give it a title here, say worker stats. And we're going to display our worker image here. So we're going to use the media renderer component here from thirdweb. And we're going to provide it a source of the image, which is going to be the worker.metadata.image. We'll give it a styling here, just a styling of border radius and some margins. We're going to wrap these in a div here. So we'll just make these go into a div here. And then below that, we'll create another div here. This div is going to display the name of our NFT. So we'll just create some p tags here, give it a styling of bold. We're going to display the name of our NFT, and we're going to get the ID number here and display the ID number. And then we're going to say, hey, once we get the token balance, let's display the token balance, which is going to be, we'll just say balance here. And we're going to display the truncate number of the token balance dot display value as a string here. And we're also going to display the token balance symbol. So it's going to be token balance dot symbol. So that should show our NFT that we own here. So let's just take this worker here and then plug it into our index.tsx file. So in, where are we here? We can get rid of the connect wallet button here. And then we're going to display our worker here. And we're just going to import the worker from our components. So now when we sign in, we'll be able to see that we have our worker NFT. So let's test this out here. Let's come back to our app. Let's sign out here. So we'll disconnect. So we're going to sign in. Once we sign in, it's going to connect our smart wallet. It should now be checking if we have this NFT or not. So it's checking our working balance. It's claiming our tokens. And we should have an error here because I just remembered we did not set our engine variables. So it looks like our claim tokens does not match our export default function. So in here, let's check this really quick before we add in our variables. If we come back to our, where is our claim tokens? Yeah, we did not export our handler here. So we'll make sure we do that. And now let's also add in our variables. So we're going to have to add in our variables here for our thirdweb engine URL, access token, and engine wallet. So if we come to our thirdweb dashboard here and you come to engine, let me just open this in a new tab. You'll have your thirdweb engine here. You'll have your engine URL. In permissions, you can set your access tokens here. And then you also want to make sure that you have a backend wallet here as well. If you want to learn more about how to set up engine, we'll link down in the description below a tutorial video and documentation and guides on how to do this. So I'm going to set my environment variables for this, for engine, and then I'll be right back. All right, so we have our engine variables set up in our .env file. Let's come back to our game here. Let's disconnect. Let's try login again. So this time we'll log in. And once we're signed in, it's going to connect to a smart wallet. Once we find out that it is a smart wallet, again, we're going to check the worker balance. We're going to claim the worker balance, and looks like we got an error again. We got an error claiming our tokens here. Let's take a look what our error was. One of our environment variables were not set. So let me just double check, make sure my environment variables are good. Yep, I did have a misspelling. So let's come back here to our app. Let's disconnect this, try one more time. So we'll sign in with our email. We should sign in with our smart wallet. Once our smart wallet is signed in, it should check the balance of our workers, which we don't have, which now it is going to claim our worker token. So if we actually look at our engine here really quick, we have 2 transactions that went through and they look like they failed. And I know exactly why they failed. So remember when we deployed our contracts, I said we had to set our backend wallet as the owners and give it permission to mint the tokens and to claim the NFTs. So I'm going to copy my backend wallet here that I'm using with engine. I'm going to come to my token contract here first. We're going to come to permissions, and we're going to set this backend wallet as a minter and creator of this token. So they can mint new tokens. So I'm going to add that address here, update permissions, and I'm going to confirm that right over here. There we go. Then I'm going to come to my worker NFT here, and in Explorer, I'm going to set the owner here. So let's look for set owner. So we're going to use the set owner function here, and I'm going to set the owner as the backend wallet. Confirm that. What we need to do here is set the same thing. So in our permissions, we're going to set the minter and creator. We're going to add our backend wallet here, and we're going to update permissions. Then we'll hit confirm. And again, this should allow now the backend wallet of our engine to claim the tokens and the NFTs for our users. So once we have that set, so coming back to our game here, let's refresh this and we'll attempt signing in one more time. So again, we're going to sign in. We're going to sign in with a smart wallet. Once it detects a smart wallet, it's going to check the balance of our worker. Now it's going to notice that we don't have a worker NFT with this account. So it'll then make our request to engine to then claim the NFT and our tokens. And then we should be able to view our worker NFT right over here. So checking the worker balance, doesn't have it. So it's claiming the worker and the tokens here. And again, in our request too, it's making sure that we get the mined status for the worker and the tokens being claimed before loading our worker here. You can see we now have our worker, which is ID number 1. We have a balance of 100 bit gold, and we have a balance of 100 bit gold here. So again, when a new player comes into our game now, they can then claim this NFT and they can start playing our game. So now let's work on displaying the staking of our businesses and our shop here, where we can purchase and stake our businesses to start earning some currency here. So back in our code editor here, let's create a new component here. We're going to call this our businesses.tsx. And in our businesses.tsx, we're going to create our businesses component here. We're going to return a div here. And what we're going to do here is just get the staked businesses. Now, in order to get the staked businesses, we need our address of our wallet. So we're going to use the use address hook here. Then we need our staking contract. So we'll get our contract. This is going to be our staking contract. We're going to use contract and use our staking contract address. And within the staking contract, we're going to call a read function called get stake info. And what that's going to return to us is the information of the staked NFTs for our address. So we're going to get some data back here. This is going to be our staked tokens that we get back. We'll also check the loading status and say loading businesses. And this is going to use the use contract read hook. And we're going to be reading from our staking contract. We need to provide it the function name that we are going to be using or reading. In this case, it is loading. In this case, we are going to be reading a function called getStakeInfo. And then we need to provide it an array of the arguments that that function takes. And in this function, all we need to do is provide it the address. So it's only going to return back the staked information for the address that we have connected here. So for our businesses here, we're going to give this a class name of styles. Let's import styles here. So we'll say styles.business container. And then we'll just give it some inline styling here of a width of 50%. And in this div, we're going to display our businesses. So one, make sure our businesses are not loading and that we have the data of our staked businesses. If not, we'll say loading businesses. So we'll just get rid of this here. Once we have our businesses loaded, we are going to create a header here. We'll say businesses. Then below that, we are going to create a div. This div is going to have the class name of styles.grid. And in here, we're going to check our staked tokens. And once we have our staked tokens, we are going to also check that our staked tokens, we're going to make sure that the staked tokens, the first item in that array that is returned, the length is greater than 0. That first index here is going to be the information of our staked tokens. So if they don't have anything in there, then that means there are no tokens staked or no businesses staked. So we can just say here, P, no businesses owned. But if there are some businesses owned, we're going to take the staked tokens. We're going to take that first item in that array that's returned. We're going to map through it. And then for each one, we are going to get a staked token, which is going to be a big number. And for each staked token, we are going to return our business. Now we're going to create a different component here for our business. So we're going to create a new file within our components folder. We're going to call this our business card.tsx. And in our business card here, we are going to display our NFT with the claim rewards button, how much rewards it's earning, and all of that information. So we are going to take in some props here. And what we are going to take in here is going to be the token ID that's being displayed, which is going to be a number, not a string. So we're going to create our component here. We're going to get our address here. Import to use address. We're going to get our business's contract. So we'll set our contract and we'll say business contract. We'll use contract here, provide it with a business's contract address. Then we're going to get back the data of the NFT. So we're going to use the use NFT hook, and we're going to get the NFT metadata back from the business contract using the token ID that is provided. So with the information that we get back from our staked tokens, we can get the token ID that we have staked or that address has staked, provide that to this NFT card here, and then we can get the NFT metadata so we can display that information. We're also going to need our staking contract here. So we'll say staking contract using our staking contract address. And from our staking contract address, we're going to need the rewards. So we'll say business rewards. We need to know how much of the rewards that staked token has. So we'll use the use contract read, similar to how we did getting the staked info. We're going to use the staking contract address. We're going to read the get stake info for token, provide it with our token ID and the address. This is going to get a more detailed response in what amount of rewards does the token ID staked have for the wallet that has it staked. Up top here, we're going to create a state variable here for claimable rewards. We're going to use state here, and we're just going to set this to a big number because that is what we are going to get returned. And then down here, we're going to update our claimable rewards. So we'll create a use effect here that is going to check and update the balance, and we'll just have it update every second. So we'll check first if there is no staking contract or there is no address. Then we'll just return out of this. We don't need to do this. But if there is, then we'll create an async function here called load claimable rewards. And what this function will do is it's going to get the stake info, which we are going to await our staking contract dot call, and we're going to call the same function that we were calling before, which is get our staked information, provide it with our token ID and address, and then we are going to set the claimable rewards to the stake information, but we're going to set it to the second or index 1 item that we get returned. Then we're going to load claimable rewards, and we'll create interval ID here, and we'll make that set interval to loadable claimable rewards. And again, we'll just run this, we'll just say every second, and then we'll return and clear our interval whenever we do. So every second we'll check it, clear it, check it, clear it, and that should update our claimable rewards. Then here we'll create a truncate revenue, which will take the big number and convert it to a more readable decimal point for us. And then for this card here, we're going to create a div, give this div a class name of styles dot, let's import styles. So here styles dot NFT card, and we'll give it some inline styling for a background color here. Within that div, we're going to display our business. So we'll just say a media renderer here to display our NFT image. The source of this image is going to be our nft.metadata.image. Then below that, we'll create another div here. We'll just give this div some inline styling of a margin on top and bottom. We'll create a h4 header here. We'll display the business name, which is going to be nft.metadata.name. Below that, we are going to display the rewards that it has earned. So we'll first make sure that we have our business rewards. If we do, then we're going to get our business rewards. We'll get the second item in that. Make sure that that second item is greater than 0. And if it is, then we're going to display the quantity here. So we're going to display, this is going to be the quantity of, the NFTs of that token that we have staked. So this is going to be our business, not contract, rewards, that first item dot to number. Then below that, we'll get the claimable rewards. So we'll say claimable rewards, and we're going to display here our revenue that the business has earned, which is going to be the truncated revenue of the claimable rewards as a big number. Then below this div, we're going to create a web3 button that is going to say claim revenue. And this web3 button here, we're going to say it's going to call a function from our staking contract address. What the action that it's going to call is on the contract. We're going to call a function. We're going to call the claim rewards function, and we need to give the token ID, not the address, just the token ID of the rewards that we want to claim. Then we can say on success, we can alert that we claimed our revenue. We'll give this here a class name of styles.nft card button. So that should display our businesses. So back in our businesses here, we can say here, we're going to display a business card for each one of those businesses. And that business card is going to be when we have to set the key, which we can just set to our staked token dot toString. Then we need to set the token ID, which is going to be our staked token dot toNumber. So coming back to our app here, let's actually add in our businesses to our index.tsx here. So here below worker, we're going to add our businesses component. And then for this div here, we're going to give it the class name of styles.main. And then we'll add another div here, give this a styling here, and then drop these components into here. So coming back here, you can see loading businesses. No businesses are owned, and you can see once we stake our businesses, they will display over here. So next, let's create our shop page, and let's display the businesses that we have for sale and how we can purchase them. So coming back to our code editor here, let's go to our shop.tsx, which we already have some stuff set up. What we're going to do here is get our business contract. So we need to get to the contract. We'll call this our business contract. It's going to use contract again, business's contract address. And from here, we're going to get all the NFTs from this contract. So we're going to get data. We're going to call this businesses, and we're going to use NFTs. We're going to get all the NFTs from our business contract. Now in here, what we're going to do for what we return, we're going to give this a class name. So let's import styles here. We're going to give this div here a class name of styles.main. We'll then get a title here. We'll call this by business. Below that, we're going to create a div. This div is going to have a class name of styles.grid. Inside of this grid, we'll wait for our businesses, make sure the business length is greater than 0. We want to make sure that we have businesses to display. We'll say no businesses available if there is none. And then for each of the businesses, so we'll get businesses, we'll map through that. Back for each one, we're going to get a business. And then for each business, we're going to display an NFT card for that business. So similar to how we created a card for our staked businesses, we need to create a different card for the businesses that we have for sale. So in components, I'm going to create a new file. We're going to call this NFT card.tsx. For this one, we're going to get back a type, or we're going to require a type props of NFT. That way we know which NFT we are displaying here. So we're going to get back our address here. So we'll use address again. We'll get our contract. This contract we're going to get is our business contract. So use contract, use businesses. For our businesses contract, we're going to get the claim condition. This is going to be able to provide us the price and everything of the tokens. So we'll say claim condition. We're going to use claim conditions here, and we're going to provide it with the business and the NFT.metadata.id. Then we're going to get our staking contract as well. So we're going to get our contract here. This is going to be our staking contract. Using our use contract again, we're going to create just a quick calculate earnings equation. Basically, this is going to be the cost. So whatever the cost of our NFT is going to, we're going to divide that by 10. We're going to take 10% of that, and that's how much the NFT makes per hour. So cost, which is going to be a number. return cost times 0.1, which is 10%. So in here, our card, we are going to say div. This is going to have a class name. So let's import styles here. We'll say here, class name is going to equal styles.nft card. In our NFT card, we'll display the media renderer to display the image of our business NFT. The source is going to be set to the NFT metadata.image. Below that, we're going to have a div. This is going to have some styling here. We're just going to give it some padding. We're going to give it a header 3 where we'll display the name of the NFT. So we'll get the NFT.metadata.name. Then we'll display the price of the NFT. So we'll make sure that we have our claim condition and that our claim condition dot length is greater than 0, which means that it has a claim condition set. Then we'll take that claim condition and we'll map through that claim condition, which will provide us with a condition and a index. And then for that, we will display the claim condition. We'll give this a key here of index. And what we're going to do is display the cost, which is going to be, we'll say 2 ether of the condition dot price. And then we'll get the symbol, which will be the condition dot currency metadata dot symbol. Then below that, we want to display the earnings. So how much is this going to earn? So we'll say earns. And then for this, we're going to calculate the earnings, which we are going to provide it with, did I spell calculate earnings wrong? Yeah, calculate earnings. We're going to parse int the condition price to ether, create that into a number here. And then we have the symbol per hour. So that is what we are going to show as the cost. And then finally, below this div, we are going to create a button. And this button is going to claim and stake our NFT. So up here, I'm going to create a state variable here. So just import use state. We're going to have 3 stages. The initial state, the claiming of the NFT, and the staking. We'll set the default to the initial state here. We're then going to create a function to claim and stake the NFT. So we're going to say, call this function here, handle claim. It's going to be an async function. And one, we need to make sure that we have an address. So if there's no address, then return. If there is an address, then we're going to first set the claim to the claiming state. We're going to create a try catch here. Catch will just console error. And in the try here, we're going to first await the business contract. It is an ERC-1155, and we are going to claim the NFT. We need to provide it the ID that we're claiming and the amount. So we'll just say whatever the metadata of the whatever the ID is of the NFT that's displayed, we should only be able to claim 1. Then we're going to set the claim state to staking. Now, staking requires a few steps. One, we need to approve that we can stake and give permission to the staking contract. So we do need to set approval. So we have to say is approved. So we'll check the approval first. So is approved. This is going to await the business contract and say is approved, which we're going to add here that this business contract is an addition drop, which will give us the access to is approved here. And we're checking to see the address here is approved for the staking contract. Then based on if it is approved or not, if it is not approved, we are going to set approval. So if it is not approved, we are going to set approval for all, and we are setting the approval for the staking contract address to true. If it is approved, and once it is approved, we will await the staking contract, and we're going to call a function from there. And the function that we are going to call is the stake function. And we need to provide it with the NFT ID, which we're going to get from the NFT metadata.id, and the quantity that we're going to stake, which is going to be 1 because we're only purchasing 1 at a time. And then finally here, once it is staked, we will set the claim condition back to the initial state. So down here in our button, depending on the claim state of our button here, we will display some different text. So if the claim state is claiming the NFT, it's going to say purchasing business, or if claim state equals staking, it's going to say staking business. If not, it's going to say buy now. For our button here, we're going to give it a class name here of styles.NFT card button. We're going to say on click, it is going to run our handle claim function, and we'll say it's disabled if the claim state is not the initial state. So with that, we can come back to our shop. And for our businesses that we map through, for each one, we are going to display an NFT card, and we are going to provide it with the NFT, which in this case is going to be our business. We also have to set the key here to business.metadata.id. And there we have it. So coming back to our app, we now have our businesses here. So you can see our businesses, how much they make per hour. We have the buy buttons. If we come back to our businesses dashboard here, we don't own any businesses, but we do have a 100 Bitgold. So if we come back to our shop here, let's buy our first lemonade stand. It's purchasing the business. It's now staking the business. Again, this is setting approval and staking the NFT. So all within the buy now of this NFT, it's claiming, it's setting approval, it's staking. And once the NFT has been staked, we should be able to see it in our business's dashboard. So that is done. We should see our Bitgold go back down to 0 here. We should see our business now staked. You can see the revenue is coming up here, and we are now claiming revenue and Bitgold for our business. So if we hit claim revenue here, we'll be able to claim the revenue. Now we're not going to be able to claim a lot right now because we haven't earned a lot, but this here is calling the claim rewards function from our staked contract. So there we go. We can now claim the rewards. Our revenue was claimed right over here, and you can see we get an update right here of our Bitgold here and here. And there you have it. We built our very own seamless Web3 idle game for the browser. And again, this is using a lot of the functionalities and features that thirdweb has to offer. If you look at the game in whole, we abstract away all of the Web3 complexities. A user doesn't need to create a wallet. They don't need to pay for gas. They don't need to sign any transactions, and we can still create an on-chain idle game where we can still utilize these assets in different ways because they are all on-chain. So again, I hope you folks enjoyed this video. If you did, give this video a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out on more tutorial videos just like this. If you have any questions or you need any support, we'll drop a link down in the description below to our support team. You can open up a support ticket and they'll be happy to help you out and answer any of your questions. But again, I hope you folks enjoyed this video, and until next time, see ya.